So, Sabha, your quick take before the swearing in starts. Okay, Sabha's just gone off. Sanket, you think there's enough talent that's come in to balance the talent or the lack of it that has gone out?
Very difficult to say. You know, it'll be interesting to see what happens from here on. All I can say is that new people have been given a chance. If you look at the list, there is Narayan Rane, Mr. Paras. Now, I don't know what sort of talent has he been rewarded for. Ms. Anupriya Patel has served in the cabinet in the past in Modi 1.0. Kapil Patil from Maharashtra, Meenakshi Lekhi from Delhi. She is the one who has replaced Dr. Harshvardhan from the Delhi quota. So, she is right here. Now, these are all people who individually are strong political representatives. But how effective an administrator will they be in governance is going to be very, very significant, because in most cases, many of these people are untested. Now that does not mean that they may be particularly bad. But the point is, you may bring in youth, you may bring in new people, but how much will they be allowed to do? Like, for instance, the handling of coronavirus. To say that Dr. Harshvardhan himself was responsible, that's the Vice President, Mr. M. Venkaiah Naidu, he's also come in. You know, to say that Dr. Harshvardhan himself was responsible for the corona handling may not be a correct assessment, though he was the head of the ministry and by virtue of that was asked to leave. But who was taking the calls? So, how much of freedom will the ministers have to take calls on their own is going to be very significant.
No, and also, as you said, will they be given the wiggle room? Because given that as the camera sort of stays on Mr. Modi, it's such a centralized government. So, will he now be a little less centralizing? Will it still be largely power concentrated in the PMO in the hands of the big two?
I think that's pretty much what is going to happen, Vasu, because that's how the Narendra Modi administration works. I mean, to expect that suddenly there will be decentralization of power where ministers will start taking calls on their own, that's not going to happen anytime soon, and not with a brand new team that is seated right now. But that's the president's wife who's coming in at this moment, and in just a short moment we'll see the president also walking in, and this program is going to formally begin.
Absolutely. We're just now moments away from the swearing in of the new ministers in this first big shake-up. Actually, this has now turned out to be a huge shake-up.
No, this is a shake-up
of Modi.
And Vasu, I'll also tell you, with these resignations, frankly, I thought that was it and surprises were over. But by the evening, when you and I sat and started commenting, obviously this was a big surprise, which came as a surprise to everyone. Nobody thought that this is going to happen. Never did we imagine that Javadekar and Ravi Shankar Prasad will be asked to go, but that has happened. I think an attempt has been made to perhaps shed or shake off some of the criticism that stuck to the government that, they're not doing enough. And for Mr. Modi to try to tell to the world that if my team does not deliver, then the team is going to face the axe and I'll work with brand new teams.
Interesting. Again, that the axe fell on the likes of Prakash Javadekar, Ravi Shankar Prasad. Health, one can understand Harshvardhan, but the economy, again, at least at the moment, no shake-up there, but we'll have to wait and see. Could there be still a twist in the tail in the portfolio allotment?
Portfolios have not been allotted, Vasu.
Portfolio allotment,
we do not know.
That could be a twist in the tail. We'll have to wait and see as the president now begins to make his entry into Rashtrapati Bhavan's Darbar Hall to commence the swearing in. And I think, as we had mentioned, COVID protocols, I think they're trying to follow it as much as possible. We're seeing the seats have all been spaced out a bit to make sure everyone's not crowded together.
माननीय राष्ट्रपति महोदय, आपकी आज्ञा हो तो समारोह प्रारंभ किया जाए। जी। कैबिनेट मंत्री श्री नारायण तातू राणे। कैबिनेट मंत्री श्री नारायण तातू राणे।
मैं नारायण तातू राणे ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं भारत की प्रभुता अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा। मैं संघ के मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक और शुद्ध अंतःकरण से निर्वहन करूंगा तथा मैं भय या पक्षपात, अनुराग या द्वेष के बिना सभी प्रकार के लोगों के प्रति संविधान और विधि के अनुसार न्याय करूंगा। मैं नारायण तातू राणे ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि जो विषय संघ के मंत्री के रूप में मेरे विचार के लिए लाया जाएगा अथवा मुझे ज्ञात होगा, उसे किसी व्यक्ति को या व्यक्तियों को तब के सिवाय जबकि जैसे मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्य का सम्यक निर्वहन के लिए ऐसा करना अपेक्षित हो, मैं प्रत्यक्ष अथवा अप्रत्यक्ष रूप से संशोधित या प्रकट नहीं करूंगा।
Interesting that the first person to be sworn in was Narayan Rane, someone who is actually an import from, earlier Shiv Sena Congress.
Yes, Vasu, but I think they are following an order. The government released a document of 43 names.
Yes.
And they are following that order. So, in that order, Mr. Narayan Rane was right at the top there. So, you can understand that he may in fact be in seniority.
That's right.
The senior
as a former chief minister.
The senior most of the cabinet ministers in this fresh lot who have been inducted.
Correct. As a former chief minister, though Sarbanand Sonowal is also there. But yeah, from the seniority
I think in the Maharashtra dynamics, Vasu, you would know more. He's very significant. From Sena to Congress to BJP, he's a former chief minister of Maharashtra, Indian politician, has been quite a powerful leader. Right. Sarbananda Sonowal comes up next, another former chief minister who is being rewarded for his quote-unquote sacrifice to let Himanta Biswa Sarma take over. He served as sports minister in Modi 1.0.
I, Sarbananda Sonowal, do swear in the name of God that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India as by law established, that I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India, that I will faithfully and conscientiously discharge my duties as a minister for the Union, and that I will do right to all manner of people in accordance with the Constitution and the law, without fear or favor, affection or ill will. I, Sarbananda Sonowal, do swear in the name of God that I will not directly or indirectly communicate or reveal to any person or persons any matter which shall be brought under my consideration or shall become known to me as a minister for the Union, except as may be required for the due discharge of my duties as such minister.
Of course, Sarbanand Sonowal being rewarded for that sacrifice, making space for Himanta Biswa, but also he belongs to the members of what are called the indigenous communities of Assam. So, also ticks that box which the government is trying to underline with this exercise.
Absolutely.
That they are trying to do this as a kind of social engineering project as well.
Absolutely. And he is also an LLB graduate from Guwahati University. A lot has to be said about the educational qualification this time around, because we've been told that that has been a key focus in having decided who the ministers are going to be. Next minister most probably who will be sworn in is Dr. Virendra Kumar. Dr. Virendra Kumar is going to be sworn.
मैं डॉक्टर वीरेंद्र कुमार ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा। मैं संघ के मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक और शुद्ध अंतःकरण से निर्वहन करूंगा तथा मैं भय या पक्षपात, अनुराग या देश के बिना सभी प्रकार के लोगों के प्रति संविधान और विधि के अनुसार न्याय करूंगा। मैं डॉक्टर वीरेंद्र कुमार ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि जो विषय संघ के मंत्री के रूप में मेरे विचार के लिए लाया जाएगा अथवा मुझे ज्ञात होगा, उसे किसी व्यक्ति या व्यक्तियों को तब के सिवाय जबकि ऐसे मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों के सम्यक निर्वहन के लिए ऐसा करना अपेक्षित हो, मैं प्रत्यक्ष अथवा अप्रत्यक्ष रूप से संसूचित या प्रकट नहीं करूंगा।
So Vasu, that was Dr. Virendra Kumar, Lok Sabha MP from Tikamgarh in Madhya Pradesh. He's one of the senior most parliamentarians as far as the BJP is concerned. In fact, in the parliament, he is in the past served as the Union Minister of State for Women and Child Development and Minority Affairs under Prime Minister Modi. So this is in a way his re-entry.
Six-time MP. Six-time MP it seems. So
correct.
Perhaps that's why right up there.
Right. Next up is Mr. Jyotiraditya Scindia.
Shri Jyotiraditya M. Scindia.
मैं ज्योतिरादित्य माधवराव सिंधिया ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा। मैं संघ के मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक और शुद्ध अंतःकरण से निर्वाह करूंगा तथा मैं भय या पक्षपात, अनुराग या द्वेष के बिना सभी प्रकार के लोगों के प्रति संविधान और विधि के अनुसार न्याय करूंगा। मैं ज्योतिरादित्य माधवराव सिंधिया ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि जो विषय संघ के मंत्री के रूप में मेरे विचार के लिए लाया जाएगा अथवा मुझे ज्ञात होगा, उसे किसी व्यक्ति या व्यक्तियों को तब के सिवाय जबकि ऐसे मंत्री के रूप में मैं अपने कर्तव्यों के सम्यक निर्वहन के लिए ऐसा करना अपेक्षित हो, मैं प्रत्यक्ष या अप्रत्यक्ष रूप से संसूचित या प्रकट नहीं करूंगा।
So, Sanket, do you want to at this point take a quick stab, guess at what portfolio Jyotiraditya Scindia is getting?
Absolutely not. I won't hazard that guess, but it's going to be a big portfolio and it will be a cabinet minister rank portfolio.
Right, and something that he's waited for close to a year. So I guess the anticipation would be that.
And in previous terms, he was a Union Minister of State independent charge. So he was already that rank.
So,
Shri Ramchandra Prasad Singh.
Ramchandra Prasad Singh from
the JDU.
The JDU.
Yes.
So these are the JDU inductees.
मैं रामचंद्र प्रसाद सिंह ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा। मैं संघ के मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक और शुद्ध अंतःकरण से निर्वहन करूंगा तथा मैं भय या पक्षपात, अनुराग या द्वेष के बिना सभी प्रकार के लोगों के प्रति संविधान और विधि के अनुसार न्याय करूंगा। मैं रामचंद्र प्रसाद सिंह ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि जो विषय संघ के मंत्री के रूप में मेरे विचार के लिए लाया जाएगा अथवा मुझे ज्ञात होगा, उसे किसी व्यक्ति या व्यक्तियों को तब के सिवाय, जबकि ऐसे मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों के सम्यक निर्वहन के लिए ऐसा करना अपेक्षित हो, मैं प्रत्यक्ष अथवा अप्रत्यक्ष रूप से संसूचित या प्रकट नहीं करूंगा।
So Sanket, JDU of course coming in, but
by the way, he's the only person from the JDU, Vasu. That's the big information.
Yes, they wanted, I think, 4.
They wanted 4, they've got 1 and they've settled for it, which they did not last time around. So this is very, very significant. RCP Singh is also the president, national president of the JDU.
Correct.
So this is a big induction. It's also being said that I think after one person after the announcement now is going to be the price that the JDU allegedly delivered to Narendra Modi. That is breaking the LJP. Now Ashwini Vaishnav from Odisha.
मैं अश्विनी वैष्णव ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूँ कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा। मैं संघ के मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक और शुद्ध अंतःकरण से निर्वहन करूंगा तथा मैं भय या पक्षपात, अनुराग या द्वेष के बिना।
So Vasu, this is a significant induction because he is a former IAS officer of 1994 batch.
Correct.
If you remember, the Modi government said that we'll give priority to people who have administrative background. So that's what they seem to have done.
No, that's true. In fact, for those of us who were around at this time, he was part of the Vajpayee PMO, and one sort of recalls him from those days, and he's Wharton, Pennsylvania University, IIT Kanpur. So he's a little closer to that kind of technocrat model that the government said would be given space.
He's worked in leadership roles with GE and Siemens.
Right. So
companies like that.
So with these possible economic ministries falling vacant, you know, could he be a dark horse for any of them? We'll have to wait and see.
Correct. In fact, the PPP framework, he's also credited for doing great stuff as far as the public-private partnership framework is concerned. Next up is the uncle who got himself a kurta, Pashupati Kumar Paras.
Shri Pashupati Kumar Paras.
So this is actually something that has been contested already, Sanket, by the nephew, who says he's gone to court.
Yes.
Saying that LJP, I mean that his uncle is not the LJP. So Chirag Paswan is contesting this, says he's written to the Prime Minister as well. But that hasn't prevented Mr. Paswan's brother from taking his place.
ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूँ कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा। मैं संघ के मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक और शुद्ध अंतःकरण से निर्वहन करूंगा तथा मैं भय या पक्षपात, अनुराग या द्वेष के बिना सभी प्रकार के लोगों के प्रति संविधान और विधि के अनुसार न्याय करूंगा। मैं पशुपति कुमार पारस ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि जो विषय संघ के मंत्री के रूप में मेरे विचार के लिए लाया जाएगा अथवा मुझे ज्ञात होगा, उसे किसी व्यक्ति या व्यक्तियों को तब के सिवा जबकि ऐसे मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों को सभ्य निर्वहन के लिए ऐसा करना अपेक्षित होगा हो मैं प्रत्यक्ष अथवा अप्रत्यक्ष रूप से संसूचित या प्रकट नहीं करूंगा।
Now Vasu, this is a controversial induction because as you were rightly mentioning, Chirag Paswan is planning to drag this induction to court.
Sure.
Because as far as the government is concerned, they look at this as an allotment to the LJP quota.
Correct.
Whereas Chirag Paswan says, I am the real LJP, not my uncle.
Also, Ramvilas Paswan was always very keen on and got the railways portfolio a number of times. Let's see if his brother is similarly rewarded.
In his latest avatar, he had food and supplies. So, one really doesn't know what he'll get. Next up, Vasu, is a very, very interesting elevation from the Bharatiya Janata Party. The big organization's man, Bhupendra Yadav.
Yes. That is interesting, Sanket, because you already had Mr. Amit Shah entering the government. Now you have another big point person for the BJP, Bhupendra Yadav, also entering the government. So in that sense, you know, two big point persons for the party. But interesting choice.
Okay, so
Rijiju,
slight change in the order. That's Kiren Rijiju.
Yes.
Kiren Rijiju, which means that these are the swearing-ins happening of all those people who've been promoted.
Correct.
So Mr. Rijiju has now been promoted.
शपथ लेता हूं कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा। मैं संघ के मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक और शुद्ध अंतःकरण से निर्वहन करूंगा तथा मैं भय या पक्षपात, अनुराग या द्वेष के बिना सभी प्रकार के लोगों के प्रति संविधान और विधि के अनुसार न्याय करूंगा। मैं किरण रिजिजू ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि जो विषय संघ के मंत्री के रूप में मेरे विचार के लिए लाया जाएगा अथवा मुझे ज्ञात होगा उसे किसी व्यक्ति या व्यक्तियों को तब के सिवाय जबकि ऐसे मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों के सम्यक निर्वहन के लिए ऐसा करना अपेक्षित हो मैं प्रत्यक्ष अथवा अप्रत्यक्ष रूप से संसूचित या प्रकट नहीं करूंगा।
Pankaj, sorry, I beg your pardon.
Yeah, Vasu, so this is a big elevation. This is a big elevation of Kiren Rijiju.
But why? That's what I'm trying to understand. Kiren Rijiju, Minister of Sports. So just as we are still not clear why people like Javadekar and Ravi Shankar Prasad were dropped, it's not entirely clear what would lead to Mr. Rijiju's promotion.
I think a lot of stuff that he did as sports minister by promoting talent, by conducting various programs, the Fit India movement, I think a lot of that credit is being given to Kiren Rijiju. In that sense,
also Northeast.
And the Northeast, correct, absolutely. That is former Home Secretary, Mr. R.K. Singh.
मैं राजकुमार सिंह ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा। मैं संघ के मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक और शुद्ध अंतःकरण से निर्वहन करूंगा तथा मैं भय या पक्षपात, अनुराग या द्वेष के बिना सभी प्रकार के लोगों के प्रति संविधान और विधि के अनुसार न्याय करूंगा। मैं राजकुमार सिंह ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि जो विषय संघ के मंत्री के रूप में मेरे विचार के लिए लाया जाएगा अथवा मुझे ज्ञात होगा उसे किसी व्यक्ति या व्यक्तियों को तब के सिवाय जबकि ऐसा मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों के सम्यक निर्वहन के लिए ऐसा करना अपेक्षित हो मैं प्रत्यक्ष अथवा अप्रत्यक्ष रूप से संसूचित या प्रकट नहीं करूंगा।
Sanket, another curious promotion there.
Very curious promotion.
R.K. Singh, Power Minister. We didn't hear too much of the Power Ministry. Nothing spectacular coming out of it. Nothing controversial either. Just sort of, driving on the middle of the road. But he's landed a big promotion there.
I think staying low-key could have gone in his favor. And he has been largely non-controversial.
But then look at Hardeep Puri. He's the opposite of low-key.
Ambassador Hardeep Puri is next, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's been out there batting on a front foot and he's got promoted.
Well, the man behind the Central Vista.
Exactly, and his aggressive defense of the Central Vista.
I, Hardeep Singh Puri, do swear in the name of God that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India as by law established, that I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India, that I will faithfully and conscientiously discharge my duties as a Minister for the Union, and that I will do right to all manner of people in accordance with the Constitution and the law, without fear or favour, affection or ill will. I, Hardeep Singh Puri, do swear in the name of God that I will not directly or indirectly communicate or reveal to any person or persons any matter which shall be brought under my consideration or shall become known to me as a Minister for the Union, except as may be required for the due discharge of my duties as such Minister.
So, Vasu, 10 people so far have taken oath as cabinet ministers. This is very interesting. 7 new and up to this moment, 3 of the old who were either MOS or MOS independent charge.
What's your take on Hardeep Puri? One gets a sense he might be headed for one of these big economic portfolios which may be up for grabs.
Entirely possible, but I mean, he's doing a pretty good job defending the Central Vista. So maybe it's just his elevation in his profile and not really a change in his ministry. Anything can happen.
Right.
Shri Mansukh Mandavia.
Okay, Mansukh Mandavia, another elevation. Very significant elevation again. He is from Gujarat.
Shipping Minister.
Shipping Minister.
Yes.
Represents Gujarat. He has also been elevated.
मनसुख मांडविया ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूँ कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा। मैं संघ के मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक और शुद्ध अंतःकरण से निर्वहन करूंगा तथा मैं भय या पक्षपात, अनुराग या द्वेष के बिना सभी प्रकार के लोगों के प्रति संविधान और विधि के अनुसार न्याय करूंगा। मैं मनसुख मांडविया ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूँ कि जो विषय संघ के मंत्री के रूप में मेरे विचार के लिए लाया जाएगा अथवा मुझे ज्ञात होगा उसे किसी व्यक्ति या व्यक्तियों को तब के सिवाय जबकि ऐसे मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों के सम्यक निर्वहन के लिए ऐसा करना अपेक्षित हो मैं प्रत्यक्ष अथवा अप्रत्यक्ष रूप से संसूचित या प्रकट नहीं करूंगा।
Okay, Sanket. So again, Sanket, you know, one can always try to retrofit an explanation, but it never is entirely clear why someone like Mansukh Bhai Mandavia gets elevated and why someone like a Javadekar gets the axe. So
I can tell you why.
Interesting.
There are Gujarat elections due later in 2022.
Yes.
So this could be an elevation hinted towards that. See, there is a mix. One can say that merit is a big cause of this portfolio allocation or this elevation, but it's got a lot to do with politics.
No, of course. Political accommodation is central.
Okay, now Mr. Bhupendra Yadav, two-term MP he's originally from Ajmer in Rajasthan, 52 years old. The new organizations man has really helped the BJP, being sworn in as a minister.
मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा। मैं संघ के मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक और शुद्ध अंतःकरण से निर्वहन करूंगा तथा मैं भय या पक्षपात, अनुराग या द्वेष के बिना सभी प्रकार के लोगों के प्रति संविधान और विधि के अनुसार न्याय करूंगा। मैं भूपेंद्र यादव ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि जो विषय संघ के मंत्री के रूप में मेरे विचार के लिए लाया जाएगा अथवा मुझे ज्ञात होगा उसे किसी व्यक्ति या व्यक्तियों को तब के सिवाय जबकि ऐसे मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों के सम्यक निर्वहन के लिए ऐसा करना अपेक्षित हो मैं प्रत्यक्ष अथवा अप्रत्यक्ष रूप से संसूचित या प्रकट नहीं करूंगा।
Sanket, I mean the thing is that even with like Mr. Bhupendra Yadav, even when leaders leave the party, they don't quite leave the party. So it's quite likely he'll continue to be sort of a point person for the party in elections and so on.
Yeah, but you
like
know,
we've seen with Amit Shah as well.
Experience, perhaps Prime Minister wants to use because he's been in a leadership position across various parliamentary committees.
Yeah,
he's also an advocate of the Supreme Court. So, besides being a strong organizations man, perhaps his skill set can be put to some good use.
Right. And now we have another leader from Gujarat,
Mr. Rupala.
मैं परसोत्तम खोड़ाभाई रूपाला ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा। मैं संघ के मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक और शुद्ध अंतःकरण से निर्वहन करूंगा तथा मैं भय या पक्षपात, अनुराग या द्वेष के बिना सभी प्रकार के लोगों के प्रति संविधान और विधि के अनुसार न्याय करूंगा। मैं परसोत्तम खोड़ाभाई रूपाला ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि जो विषय संघ के मंत्री के रूप में मेरे विचार के लिए लाया जाएगा अथवा मुझे ज्ञात होगा उसे किसी व्यक्ति या व्यक्तियों को तब के सिवाय जबकि ऐसे मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों के सम्यक निर्वहन के लिए ऐसा करना अपेक्षित हो मैं प्रत्यक्ष अथवा अप्रत्यक्ष रूप से संसूचित या प्रकट नहीं करूंगा।
Okay, so Purushottam Rupala, another elevation from Gujarat.
Gujarat, correct.
As you put it, keeping an eye perhaps on the Gujarat elections. Minister, I believe, of the state of Panchayati Raj.
Correct.
Again, one can't really sort of see what was the
no,
merit
see, these
there
are, as
in
you said,
elevation
these
other
are
than political.
Political considerations are definitely at play. This time around is going to be particularly difficult for the BJP in Gujarat. So they want to put their house in order in that state. It's the home state of the Prime Minister. So it will be quite bad if the BJP is seen losing there. G. Kishan Reddy, another elevation.
Minister of State for Home.
MOS Home from Telangana. One state where the BJP is keeping a very close eye. Who can forget the manner in which the Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation elections were fought by the BJP?
Right.
G. Kishan Reddy elevated.
मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा। मैं संघ के मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक और शुद्ध अंतःकरण से निर्वहन करूंगा तथा मैं भय या पक्षपात, अनुराग या द्वेष के बिना सभी प्रकार के लोगों के प्रति संविधान और विधि के अनुसार न्याय करूंगा। मैं गंगापुरम किशन रेड्डी ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि जो विषय संघ के मंत्री के रूप में मेरे विचार के लिए लाया जाएगा अथवा मुझे ज्ञात होगा उसे किसी व्यक्ति या व्यक्तियों को तब की सिवाय जबकि ऐसी मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों का सम्यक निर्वहन के लिए ऐसा करना अपेक्षित हो मैं प्रत्यक्ष अथवा अप्रत्यक्ष रूप से संसूचित या प्रकट नहीं करूंगा।
You know, interesting Sanket that Mr. Kishan Reddy chose to take his oath in Hindi, though he's from Telangana.
No, no. Also, by the way, in Hyderabad and nearby areas, and particularly in Telangana, there's a great influence of Urdu and Hindi.
Great influence of Urdu.
It's a huge constituency, Hindi-speaking constituency.
But also, he is the first South Indian, minister from the South.
Oh, absolutely.
Who's taken an oath. They're a bit thin on the ground when it comes to the South. You know,
absolutely.
All this talk of representation, there's him, there's Shobha Karandlaje, and there's Dr. Murugan from Tamil Nadu. There are only 3 people in this list of 43, at least as far as I could count.
Shri Anurag Singh Thakur.
Okay, again, the last of the big elevations of the day, Anurag Thakur is now walking up. He was MOS Finance all this while.
And he's getting elevated.
He's getting elevated.
Despite the state of the economy.
मैं अनुराग सिंह ठाकुर ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूँ कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा। मैं संघ के मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक और शुद्ध अंतःकरण से निर्वहन करूंगा तथा मैं भय, पक्षपात, अनुराग या द्वेष के बिना सभी प्रकार के लोगों के प्रति संविधान और विधि के अनुसार न्याय करूंगा। मैं अनुराग सिंह ठाकुर ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि जो विषय संघ के मंत्री के रूप में मेरे विचार के लिए लाया जाएगा अथवा मुझे ज्ञात होगा उसे किसी व्यक्ति या व्यक्तियों को तब के सिवाय जबकि ऐसे मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों के सम्यक निर्वहन के लिए ऐसा करना अपेक्षित हो मैं प्रत्यक्ष अथवा अप्रत्यक्ष रूप से संसूचित या प्रकट नहीं करूंगा।
So, Sanket, this is curious because, as we say, junior minister in a ministry where we've seen a huge amount of governance stress. We all remember the incendiary speeches he made during the Delhi elections. The election commission had actually docked him, and here he's been elevated.
Well, yes, that's true. But you know, his political utility. He's a young leader. He's
Himachal Pradesh.
He's from Himachal Pradesh. That state is also going to polls. A lot of this poll arithmetic has been done, and also he's liked a lot by the Prime Minister. I can tell you that. So it'll be curious to see what portfolio he gets this time around. This is a big elevation. By the way, 14 cabinet ministers have been sworn in so far.
It's already been half an hour and 14 have been sworn in. That's just about a third, Sanket. So this is This is going to be a long haul.
Yeah.
Almost 43 in total.
That's Pankaj Chaudhary. Pankaj Chaudhary is a Lok Sabha. Now the UP guys are here. He's from Maharajganj in Uttar Pradesh. He's serving his 6th term as MP. He has served as the deputy mayor of Gorakhpur. So Purvanchal is what the government is hoping to target with this particular induction. Remember, UP elections just 6 months away, and this Purvanchal face that they've brought into the cabinet is very, very significant, Vasu.
Right. But that's the interesting question I wanted to ask you, Sanket, because, if you look at the names from UP, whether it's Pankaj Chaudhary, apparently there's a Mr. B.L. Verma, Ajay Mishra, Kaushal Kishore, etc.
Yeah.
These are not the big names that many had expected. Rita Bahuguna is not there. Even Varun Gandhi's name was doing the rounds at the last minute. Some said Ravi Kishan may be flying into Delhi. But largely the names out of UP seem to be relative unknowns.
Absolutely. I think there is a lot of study that has gone into what the UP name should be. So anyone who is extremely prominent from Uttar Pradesh has perhaps not made the cut. So Varun Gandhi was extremely visible, known, has not made the cut. Rita Bahuguna Joshi has not made the cut.
Right.
Whereas a Pankaj Chaudhary from Gorakhpur. Gorakhpur, by the way, is the home turf of the Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath.
Yes.
So he has been brought in. Very, very interesting choice.
Right. The only prominent name in that UP list is, frankly, Anupriya Patel.
She's up next, I believe.
Who's up next? Who's been a steadfast ally. So, and I believe has also been a Minister of State in the past. So
yes, she was a minister, was dropped in Modi 2.0.
Yeah.
And I think the calculation very much was that perhaps this induction can come in a little later. In the expansion, finally the induction happening. This has again a lot to do with perhaps fixing NDA and not the BJP.
Sure.
That is making sure that if there is a situation in Uttar Pradesh where you need alliance partners,
yes,
you have friends who stand by you.
No, of course. And ticks also the entire social engineering box.
Correct.
Anupriya Patel, Apna Dal, the Kurmi vote, and also age and also female representation in the cabinet. So, a number of boxes there.
Yeah, absolutely. But though she's relatively new and slightly inexperienced, if you were to talk about political experience, only a second term MP, was Union Minister of State for Health under Modi 1.0, but then did not make the cut in the second term, but now is back. I think this has every bit to do with the political compulsions of Uttar Pradesh, where the BJP wants to make sure that at a time when they've lost O.P. Rajbhar and at a time when alliances are few and far between,
yes,
so old alliance partners remain with them. And Apna Dal has in fact really stood with the BJP, whether it was 2014
yes,
or 2019, even 2017.
And also, Sanket, her party's presence in that eastern region of UP, right, abutting and around the Prime Minister's own constituency, so they're quite a crucial factor there.
Absolutely.
So you'd want to have them on your side.
Absolutely. And they've been accorded that honor also in the first tenure and in the second tenure as well, only now. So the first 2 years one thought that the BJP has forgotten about Apna Dal,
right,
but they're very much back.
So in my list, Sanket, I have 8 new ministers of the inductees, 8 from Uttar Pradesh, which is the single largest grouping amongst the inductees.
But that has to be the case because you're talking about UP.
Yes.
It has 80 MPs, it has 403 MLAs. This is a state like no other. But that's Mr. Baghel, by the way, Professor S.P. Singh Baghel, Lok Sabha MP from Agra.
मैं प्रोफेसर एसपी सिंह बघेल ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित
भारत के संविधान के प्रति
सच्ची श्रद्धा
amongst the list of MPs from UP, or just generally amongst the list of ministers being sworn in today who are relative unknowns.
No, by the way, Vasu, he is not unknown.
Okay.
He's quite prominent. 5th term as MP. He has served as a cabinet minister for animal husbandry, fisheries and minor irrigation in Uttar Pradesh.
Yes.
MLA of the UP Legislative Assembly. A PhD in military science, by the way.
No, of course, he's been a minister in UP, but what I meant is that in terms of someone who's being elevated or brought into the union cabinet, is not amongst the better known faces, but
oh, absolutely.
Sure. I mean, you know, one would have to wait and see whether he performs.
I think again, you know, Vasu, this is simple calculation that is done by the Prime Minister to have a mix of prominent faces and the not so prominent faces, because that's how the Prime Minister likes to function.
Yes.
This gives him a great handle to say that, look, I am awarding and rewarding everyone. That's how my cabinet works.
Yeah.
You don't have to be only a son and daughter of someone or someone of prominence or a very big face to be in my cabinet.
Right. And with this, I wonder if we've reached the last of the cabinet ministers, and now whether from here on out we move to the MOSs. Of course, one will have to wait and see.
Rajiv Chandrasekhar is up next.
Yes.
Rajya Sabha MP from Karnataka, third term as MP.
Yeah, he's sort of
prominent personality.
Yeah, media. Let's be direct. Media mogul.
Media mogul, entrepreneur, Mr. Moneybags.
So this was, I think, Sanket, an interesting name that came in. At least as far as I could recall, I didn't come across his name in all the speculation that was doing the rounds. But obviously, again, I guess to also bring in more of a South presence, which is
one South presence, and secondly, as you saw the initial note from the Prime Minister's office, the PMO sources, of getting in more people who are educated, who are from an entrepreneur background, who may not be, you know, hard-bred politicians, in the literal sense of the word. So he's an M.Tech in computer science from Illinois Institute of Technology. He's got that Harvard University background, you know, and has also served in various parliamentary standing committees.
Right. So you have a mix of kind of people with that entrepreneurial technocratic background, and then you have people who are from a much more sort of traditional political pool.
Also, Vasu, in political sense, he's relatively young. He'll be counted as a political youth at 57.
Oh yes, absolutely. Youth wing. President of the youth wing. But from Karnataka now you have someone who is representing the other sort of polarity we were talking about, from a quote-unquote political quota, Shobha Karandlaje.
Sushri Shobha.
So this is again interesting, Sanket, because she's somebody, again, I mean, one didn't sort of see her name doing the rounds till the very last minute.
Correct. So there are quite a lot of surprises from the original list of names to what was finally the list.
Yes.
Some of the names people got right, but that's how Narendra Modi likes to operate, you know, that, see, I caught you. You never got to know.
So
what
while
was
with
on
someone
my
like her, while I can see that she would again tick the boxes of representing the South, Karnataka, a politically important state for the BJP, she's also a woman, relatively young. But again, when it comes to question of governance and all of that.
No, I think this has got to do with political representation, Vasu. From North Karnataka, South Karnataka. Remember, Karnataka is also a unit which is deeply faction-ridden for the Bharatiya Janata Party. So they are trying to figure. So she represents Dakshin Kannada in Karnataka. So this is purely representational politics. Not to say that she will not be an efficient administrator.
No, that's true.
Tested.
I mean, but
she served as a cabinet minister in Karnataka.
No, of course she has been, and she's also you know, a very close associate of Yediyurappa. But she's again part of this new breed of Karnataka politicians who are extremely strident, extremely aggressively vocal about their Hindutva sort of pronouncements.
Correct.
So it's interesting to see her actually finding a place in the cabinet.
In fact, she held portfolios like food and civil supplies, power, rural development, Panchayati Raj system in the Karnataka government. So I really wonder what her portfolio is going to be as a central minister. 54 years old.
Another youngster.
Sri Bhanu Pratap Singh Verma.
So, Mr. BPS Verma, Bhanu Pratap Singh Verma, another person from Uttar Pradesh, this time around from the region of Bundelkhand. You see, the BJP took great pride in saying that we have not just addressed states, but also regions.
Correct.
So, there's one from Eastern UP, Purvanchal. Then you've got one from Bundelkhand.
Yes.
Mr. Verma is from Bundelkhand. He's a 5th term MP, 5-term MP. Was also an MLA in the UP Vidhan Sabha. 3 decades of public life. And actually no ministry ever. So this is going to be very, very significant. What portfolio he'll be given.
Right. You know, Sanket,
Jalon in Uttar Pradesh.
Right. At the end of the day, you know, regardless of what portfolio gets, one suspects that given now how bloated the Modi 2.0 cabinet has become, hitting close
I'll give you the numbers.
80.
I'll give you the numbers. There were 53 earlier, then 12 resigned. So the present strength is 41 and 36 new faces have been added. So the council goes up to 77, whereas the total strength can still be 81. Which means if Mr. Modi wants, he can add up to 4 more ministers.
Yes. So you actually have almost reached the maximum limit. Huge cabinet now.
Yeah, maximum government.
Maximum government. And so I suspect, as you said, that this is going to be a core team of performers with this long tail of people who are essentially those who've been accommodated for political reasons. And in a sense, whether they're all able to perform up to par or not doesn't become significant, because as long as you have a core engine that's ticking along, you're fine. But if that core engine starts to sputter, that's when you start getting into trouble.
Correct.
Because even now, Sanket, if you think about it, there's so many ministers, even amongst the 53, one would have been hard put to remember what they were up to.
All right, that's Srimati Darshana Vikram Jardosh. Again, representation from Surat in Gujarat. She is a Lok Sabha MP. This is her 3rd term. She's also been a corporator of Surat Municipal Corporation and a member of the Gujarat Social Welfare Board. 4 decades of public life. Director of Sanskruti and Art and Cultural Organization, if that gives us a sense of perhaps what could be her portfolio. I don't know, very difficult to judge as of this moment, but Vasu, representation from Gujarat seems to be not as extensive as Uttar Pradesh, but right up there.
That's right. I think the breakup that we were given is 7 from UP, 5 from Maharashtra and 4 each from Gujarat and Karnataka. So quite a sizable number in terms of the overall scheme of things. And as you said, again, poll-bound states. So
this has everything to do with elections and political compulsions. Even the Gujarat unit is noticing certain amount of political irritation within the BJP. So lots of dynamics which are at play here. Now the next person, if the same list is being followed, could be the person who has in all likelihood replaced Dr. Harshvardhan from the Delhi quota.
Right.
Now walking up to take oath as a minister in the Narendra Modi cabinet. She's a Lok Sabha MP. This is her 2nd term. She's been a member of the NDMC, that is the New Delhi Municipal Corporation, is a noted spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party, is a Supreme Court lawyer and a social worker, and also an LLB from Delhi University.
कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगी मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता को अक्षुण्ण रखूंगी.
So let's Sanket also bring in our guests who are, as Meenakshi Lekhi takes oath, patiently listening in. We've got Deshratan Nigam, political analyst, supports the RSS, Javed Ansari, senior journalist, Nalini Singh, senior journalist, Sharad Pradhan, senior journalist, Charan Singh Sapra, spokesperson of the Congress. Nalini Singh, sorry for the long wait, but it is a very long.
20 more ministers to be sworn in, Vasu.
20 more ministers to be sworn in, so it's a long haul. Nalini Singh, your thoughts on what you've seen so far?
Vasu, politics is really about winning elections. And this is what you see over here. So one can paper.
Okay. Nalini Singh.
But
yes,
you know, Vasu,
we've lost your audio for a second.
We've been talking a lot about this, Vasu. But the point is winning an election or representing people in cabinets for the purpose of winning an election particularly a bad thing? I think I was asked this question also by someone in the BJP. Maybe you can get a reaction on that too.
Yeah, sorry, Nalini Singh, go ahead. We lost your audio, but you're back.
So I'm not, Vasu, if you can hear me, I'm not saying whether it's good or bad, but politics is about winning elections. When you win one election, it's all about the next election that you must win. So, you know what?
Okay.
So one can put a very nice, give a little title that earlier there were more politicians and now there are more politicians, administrators, or only administrators. But if you will forgive the expression, I am actually amused at the political cross-dressing, because you find over here earlier when you said that the highly educated people were not necessary. It was hard work. I don't have to go to Harvard, but they have actually.
Okay, there's some slight audio issues there.
The most educated minister, Dr. Harshvardhan. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear now?
Yeah, what we'll do is, Nalini Singh, let's just take you offline for a second. We'll fix your audio and get you back on.
That's Annapurna Devi. She's a Lok Sabha MP from Kodarma in Jharkhand.
Yes.
She's a first-term MP, 4-time MLA from Jharkhand and Bihar when Bihar was undivided. And she's served as cabinet minister in the government of Jharkhand, holding portfolios like irrigation, women and child welfare, registration. Also served as the Minister of State for Mines and Geology in the government of Bihar at the young age of 30. She's all of 51. So will be counted as among the young ones in this cabinet.
In fact, it's interesting because we were given this advance spin that this could end up becoming the youngest cabinet ever.
Yeah.
And then the average age to us was disclosed as 58.
Yeah.
But our research found that the UPA 2 cabinet was actually 57. It was younger than this. And Modi 1 was 57.5. So even Modi 1 was younger than this cabinet. This is a cabinet which is 1 year older. But sorry, let me just bring in Javed Ansari. Javed Ansari, your thoughts on what you're seeing so far?
Well, this is all about politics, perception, and also, of course, performance. They are largely trying to redress some of the social imbalances. A lot of emphasis on bringing on board the non-Yadav OBCs. So you see Mr. Baghel, Ms. Anupriya Patel, and to add to what Sanket was saying, she's also been brought in because she was smarting on the side, and they were Mr. Akhilesh Yadav and his group were trying to woo her. Her mother is already leads a breakaway faction, and the fear was that she could also jump ship. Yes, of course, Harshvardhan pays the price. I don't know, was he entirely alone to blame? I'm not so sure. I'm perplexed by why Ravi Shankar Prasad and Prakash Javadekar had to go, and what is the kind of role that they have in mind for him. But again, and this, to my mind, is the cabinet, the face of the cabinet that will go to the polls in 2024.
Okay. Meanwhile, Mr. Narayan Swamy, who's also from Karnataka, just Chitradurg in North Karnataka, just took a note. So another name from the south.
So, the same point that we were talking about, regions being represented. So you saw South Karnataka, Central Karnataka, North Karnataka. It's being adequately represented in the cabinet. In fact, the next person hails from another region. This is, by the way, my home region from my home state of Uttar Pradesh, the Awadh region.
Okay.
That's the MP from Mohanlalganj in Uttar Pradesh, Mr. Kaushal Kishore. He's a second-term MP, now being inducted into the Modi cabinet.
No wonder, Sanket, you suddenly perked up. You were starting to flag a little bit, but then you perked up.
Sub-nationalism has a very important role,
Sub-national.
If you can have cabinets
Right.
Cabinet berths allotted.
Yeah.
Why can't we talk about it?
Exactly. You're like, there, that's my guy. But Deshratan Nigam, your thoughts on this kind of almost paradox where the BJP on one hand says that we don't believe in this sort of caste, old style identity politics, it's all about merit. But then you get into this very granular caste based, sub-region based kind of assignment of portfolios.
Vasu, in fact, I would not take it caste, but I would say it's a micromanagement of the regions within a state and also the macro management overall of the political scenario to be unfolded in future. So caste equations do matter, but I would rather give importance to the micro regions within the state which are being like Purvanchal or the Awadh as just pointed out. So that's a very clever strategy, I would say, and especially the kind of...
No, but
what
one
about
moment.
Talent?
One moment. I would say that this is a strategy which has been followed since time immemorial, Mr. Deshratan Nigam.
Yes.
All political parties have done this.
No, but the BJP has perfected that art. Others probably have to learn a lot from BJP. And the fact remains, that, whatever you may say, politics is competitive. You have to win elections and only then governance comes into the question.
No, but the issue is that when you say that you're a party with a difference, the idea is that you don't do this kind of quota system, that you just say, listen, I'll assemble the best people for the job. I don't care where they come from. But this is very much, in fact, this is going even more granular quota-wise than possibly I've ever seen covering politics.
By the way, that's Mr. Ajay Bhatt, who's going to represent the Nainital Udham Singh Nagar area in Uttarakhand. He's a first-term MP and lands himself a position at the high table straight away.
Right. So, because Dr. Nishank was dropped, Uttarakhand, I suppose you needed to also have a representation from there. So, that could also explain why he's been elevated. But Mr. Sapra, Charan Singh Sapra, Congress Party, what do you make of it so far? Because in addition to the people who've been inducted, look at also the number of people who've been dropped. Would you at least compliment the government on that they've had to take some tough decisions, dropping close to a dozen non-performers?
See, I feel they have taken this sort of tough decisions because they needed a damage control badly. Or probably, I see this as also a diversionary tactic from the failed economy, from the failed unemployment situation, from the failed COVID management or the failed GST management system which this government has shown. And I feel just to cover up, they have done this exercise and probably the actual fault is with the engine of the train. But here what we are seeing that the coaches are being changed. So actual fault is with the engine, but coaches are being changed. That's what we are observing. And we are seeing that how the ministers are being rewarded also, like MOS Finance is being rewarded. He's being promoted for putting the economy into shambles. And I feel if performance is the criteria, then actual resignation should be of finance minister, should be of petroleum minister, Mr. Pradhan, the agriculture minister, Mr. Narendra Singh Tomar, and also the defense minister, Rajnath Singh, because under whom China has come into the boundary of India.
No.
So these are the
Mr. Sapra, I know that, when if wishes were horses, as they say, you're asking for the resignation of the entire cabinet. But at the moment, we have, again, representation from UP. Okay. Representation from UP, Mr. B.L. Verma, Rajya Sabha MP from Uttar Pradesh. He stepped up to the mic. He's going to be entering the cabinet as well. But Nalini Singh, just wanted to ask you that, those big sort of dropping of the names that Javed was talking about, many of those coming in at the very last minute before the portfolios, before the swearing in. Ravi Shankar Prasad, Prakash Javadekar, quite surprising.
Vasu, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, fine. Vasu, I think that this is a definitely resignation at the last moment. I don't think that this is all calibrated. These are not people. These two ministers that you mentioned, as well as well, these two especially, are the vocal ministers, and they have a great sense of purpose in what they're doing and a huge amount of, self-estimation and empowerment. So these people have obviously felt slighted, I would imagine, and that's why it's come at the last moment. But we are actually, one should do a little bit of a study, because the more, reticent ministers who did not promote themselves, such as Pokhriyal, such as Gangwar, such as even Harshvardhan, these are not people who were up there like Ravi Shankar Prasad was and Javadekar, but even they were dropped. But I would say one element that I find is Meenakshi Lekhi. She has for 7 years held her tongue. She has never said anything controversial apropos the government, and she has always sailed very close to the wind and has been rewarded. But Vasu, I think the larger point is what I was calling earlier the political cross-dressing. You've got here, you're taking Jyotiraditya Scindia and saying it's all par for the course. Now he's just a BJP person.
Right.
You are taking Narayan Rane, who's had a criminal record, money laundering record, and we are saying we are overlooking that. Now he's our cabinet minister. There are so many things that are happening that we are not talking about. But I do think that this is a great cleanup. 20% of the cabinet gone is not a small thing.
All right, I just want to jump in.
Yes, Vishnu, come in.
We've got Ajay Kumar being sworn in over there, Lok Sabha MP, second term as an MP. He served 3 decades in public life. He's 60 years old. Awadh is the area that he represents. That's Ajay Kumar, who's just been sworn in. So we are about a little more than halfway down that list. It started at 6 p.m. So that swearing in continues. Chauhan Devusin is the next person. He's the Lok Sabha MP from Kheda in Gujarat. It's going to be a second term in MP. Let's just listen in.
No, but Vishnu, this is the interesting point. As we now see Mr. Chauhan Devi Singh, I think he's going to be the 4th MP from Gujarat who's come in. Deshrata Nigam, do you want to respond to that? That firstly, what do you make of the fact that you've dropped so many prominent ministers, particularly Ravi Shankar Prasad? Did that come as a surprise to you? Deshrata Nigam, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can hear you.
What do you make of that? That you drop someone like a Ravi Shankar Prasad, but then you've also taken someone like a Narayan Rane, who, as Nalini Singh pointed out, I mean, first, he's an import from the Shiv Sena and the Congress, and second, the BJP itself has levelled multiple charges against him.
The fact is that if people like Ravi Shankar Prasad and Harshvardhan have been asked to, resign, and they have resigned, that means they are thinking about them to provide some kind of a responsibility in the BJP organization. Probably a big role, because Bhupendra Yadav has come from the party inside the cabinet. There are vacancies out there. That is a distinct possibility. And second, a strategy, whether it is in the Ministry of Law or Health, is very time specific. Certain strategies have worked. Now new strategies are required, new fresh ideas are required, and therefore new people are being brought in. That is also a possibility and the thought process which may be going on. And obviously, politics is competitive. Therefore, you would see people coming from Gujarat, UP, and the other states where the elections are going on. And then that's perfectly normal in politics, Vasu.
Okay. But I guess, and Vishnu is also joining us, that then how is this different, Javed Ansari, if Javed Ansari is there, is this business as usual politics? Javed Ansari has left us, but Nalini Singh, then is it just business as usual politics? If you say I'll give regions representation, I'll give caste representation.
Vasu, are you asking me?
Yes, Nalini Singh.
Okay, I feel that you are absolutely right. Except in this case, there is you can see authoritarianism playing out more than in other governments. And what I see over here is caste, allies, region, and I think later on you might even see religion and messaging. And what we are missing out is how to do the Congress party in. Because the most amazing thing is that when you look at the Panchayat election results of 2017
yes.
And the Zilla Panchayat and all, Congress actually had a huge amount of votes. It was number 2 by very slim margin. So I think the Prime Minister and Amit Shah know much more than we do. They have been through the entire exercise of looking at the Panchayat elections and the amount of votes that the Congress drew. So the idea now would be to pulverize the Congress even more in this particular, perhaps last but one reshuffle.
In fact,
so I think that they've done a good job there.
I just wanted to go across to Mr. Charan Singh Sapra for a moment. You know, in a sense, if you look at all of the high-profile exits, would you say that your core agenda for the next session of Parliament, the monsoon session, has essentially been written that if the key issue of the Congress has been non-performance of the government across ministries, then the fact that you've got 3 very high-profile resignations has essentially written the script for you?
See, I would like to here say that actual resignations, like the economy of the country is in shambles, I have already said. The NPA is hovering around the GDP is hovering around the -8%. The NPAs have gone for more than 25 lakh crores. The bank frauds have gone above 6 lakh crores. We are seeing there's a rampant crony capitalism also. Actual resignation is required of the finance minister, Nirmala
right.
Sitharaman.
So the fact that there are 3 high-profile resignations isn't good enough for you. That essentially, I mean, you are now going to ask for a lot more.
Of course,
if you look at the resignation of the health minister, Mr. Sapra, in the last 1.5 years or so, there's perhaps been no portfolio more important than health, given the emergency that we are in. Right, so you've got the government accepting that something is wrong. Not only the minister, the MOS health is also gone. Right, there'll be a new health minister, new MOS. Will this pave the way for a complete change? Because there are lots of advisors there as well. Isn't this an indicator that this government, wants to try and change to make things better?
See, Vishnu, beyond this indicator, I would like to say that National Disaster Management Authority, that comes under Prime Minister. Actually, Prime Minister heads this National Disaster Management Authority. Now, if there are any faults with the Health Ministry, then automatically the Prime Minister is also linked to it. Prime Minister is also responsible for it. So he should also take the onus of the mismanagement which the country has seen during COVID management. So it is all about what I earlier said, that problem is with the engine of the train, but we are seeing a reshuffle or the coaches being changed.
Okay, well, just now we saw Vishnu, we saw Shri Kapil Moreshwar Patil. He is one of the Maharashtra contingent. He's from Bhiwandi. He just came and took an oath. Before that, we had another MP from Karnataka, Bhagwant Khuba from Bidar in North Karnataka. He took an oath, and now Pratima Bhaumik, who's from Tripura West. So we are seeing now, the Northeast also being represented.
Background is in farming.
Background in farming, right.
And she's a first-time MP. She's serving her first term as an MP presently.
Right.
From Tripura West, as you mentioned.
Okay.
Interesting that lots of faces from the northeast of the country who have been represented this time.
That's right. So totally in all, according to the government's own handout, 5 faces from the northeast coming into the ministry this time, in keeping with this overall sort of social engineering, regional engineering. But what about talent engineering?
Right.
This is the big question, Deshrata Nigam, that given that you have such big important portfolios that are now fallen vacant, health, INB, IT, all of that, do you think that you look at these faces that have come in, and does that inspire you? You think any of these people up for it?
In fact, Vasu, let me tell you, just because some of these people are unknown does not mean they are not talented. They are educated, they have the experience at the ground level, and they are getting that experience in the center now. And slowly,
who would you say, Desh, when you look at the new list, give me 2-3 names which jump out at you and say, okay, these could be high performers?
See, Rajiv Chandrasekhar is one of them, and Meenakshi Lekhi is another who can perform. These 2 immediately come into my name, and there are others also. And if you look at the entire, the cabinet, there are 68 having graduate degrees, 13 lawyers, 6 doctors, 5 engineers, 3 civil servants. So overall, these are professionally qualified people. Just because some of them are unknown does not mean they are not talented. And today's experience that they would be gaining, they would become senior, ministers tomorrow, and they will be known.
Right.
They have to perform or perish. So therefore, they are also being tested at the same time, and none of these people would want to, perish. They have to perform.
Right.
Subhash Sarkar is the next person being sworn in now. He's a Lok Sabha MP from Bankura in Bengal, serving his first term as MP. He's also a doctor. So some leaders of the BJP in Bengal being rewarded, some haven't been rewarded. So it's a bit of a balance as far as Bengal is concerned. And interesting given the fact that the BJP did disastrously in the elections over there. But still some important representation coming in.
So, Smita Prakash, ANI also joining us. Smita, I just wanted to first get your take, because it's the first time we're having a chance to talk to you after that, that big news about the resignations, Prakash Javadekar and Ravi Shankar Prasad. Your quick take on that. What did you make of that?
Yeah, when I was last on your show during the daytime, I think we were all shocked that it's going to be Ravi Shankar Prasad who's getting the axe. In fact, you asked me if I'm not mistaken, and I thought he won't get the axe. He'll get 2 MOSs to assist him. That's what was my take. Goes to show how much we can guess as far as this government making its cabinet is concerned. You just showed right now, people taking oath, and this is across the board. Everybody saying, "Par hum inko to jante hi nahi hai." That's just it. 5 ministers from 4 states in the northeast: Assam, Arunachal, Manipur, Tripura. So these are people who are not known to the people like us. The PLUs of Delhi, Delhi reporters. They may not know these people, but they come with a wealth of experience. Sure. They have won. Some of them have won in state assemblies. Some of them have won in come to the center. As far as the resignation, coming back to your question, yes. On the big 12 who have resigned, it's quite shocking, because all the op-eds that we have been reading in the past, in the run-up to this cabinet formation, nobody guessed that so many would go. 1 out of 5 has gone from this
Smita, let me ask
Modi's
you this.
team. Now, it just goes to show that there seems to be. Go ahead.
Smita, I just trying to understand what the bigger message then, and we've spoken a lot about representation, sub-regional representation, be that as it may, but it's these 3 or 4 big names, right, of ministers who've been let go of. Ravi Shankar Prasad. Internationally, there's been condemnation of India as far as this battle against Twitter is concerned. India's handling of COVID has been seen to be disastrous internationally. The health minister Harshvardhan has gone, his deputy has gone as well. Prakash Javadekar, in many senses, the face of the government, the primary spokesperson of the government, he's somebody who's gone as well. So I'm just trying to understand if this has something to do with fixing or changing the image of the government, not just nationally, but perhaps even internationally.
I think it's more than image, I think it's content too, Vishnu, because if it had been just the INB minister gone, just the health minister gone, or just Ravi Shankar Prasad gone, it's not that. IT minister, every ministry has been shaved off, either the MOS or the MOS and the center. So it's a cleanup. I think in the past, ever since this new government came, the first year was this plethora of changes that they wanted to bring in, but then came COVID and everything went into a freeze mode. And I think the Modi government has kind of figured out that they have these next 2 years to deliver on all their promises, and they're going to be heading into 2024 with 2 terms. So in just before doing that, they need to bring into effect everything that they had promised in the 2014 election, right, which could not be done in the 5 years, and then in the 2019 election, which was promised. They have to deliver on that. So that meant a complete overhaul. Modi has already expressed, and even Gadkari has expressed frustration with the bureaucracy not implementing some of the policies and programs, sure, or the sluggish bureaucracy. So I think the new team,
they will have to deliver. Okay.
I would guess that the Modi and right, Amit Shah team want is to implement and deliver.
Okay. As we speak, Rajkumar Ranjan Singh, who's from Inner Manipur, first term MP, he's stepping up to take an oath. Let me just ask you, we've got Ashutosh also joining us, as is Sushmita Deb of the Congress, Asif Bhamla also, BJP, is with us. Ashutosh, your take on what you're seeing so far?
Vasu, I think if the exercise has been so mammoth, there has to be some basic reasons for this. Otherwise, no government and no Prime Minister changes its government almost completely. It's a completely new government in that sense. So what has been the reason? The reason has been that the BJP government and the Modi government in the last 1.5 years has been facing the unprecedented crisis. There is a health crisis, there is an economic crisis, there is a foreign policy crisis. And that's why Mr. Harshvardhan has, if has been sacked or resigned, I do not know. But that means that is an admission on the part of the government that they messed up on the issue of the health crisis or the managing the corona. Now, my worry is that if Nirmala Sitharaman continues to be the finance minister, then what will be the shape of the economy in the coming days? Because economy has been the biggest disappointment. Many people can say and many people can argue that economy is in bad shape because of the corona. But if you go back in the March 2020, you remember the 8 consecutive quarters, the economy was slipping from 8% to 4%, and finally it was dipping below 4%. So and the unemployment was 45 years at the highest on its peak. So if that was the case of economy, obviously it has gone worsened during the corona crisis.
I just want to ask, if I may, Sushmita, your reading of this, and B, Mr. Chidambaram was very stern in his remarks when he sort of seemed to indicate that ministers and he was referring to the health minister, those who sort of work, and reflect the views entirely of the government are those who are the fall guys, and in a sense said that that's what Harshvardhan was. So, I mean, is that perhaps what the Congress now argues, that you've got a couple of ministers who are out, but they are essentially the fall guys for a larger problem in governance?
See, I think the people on this debate who are seeing this as accountability, I can tell you for sure that that's not what this is about. To my mind, it is simple. 22-23, you have a whole lot of states going into elections. Whether it's Himachal, whether it's Manipur, whether it's Tripura, whether it's Gujarat, whether it's Punjab, whether it's UP. So this cabinet reshuffle has a lot to do with those elections than Corona or any such thing. Because what Ashutosh ji said, if it was a question of accountability, the first person who should have been dropped from this cabinet is Nirmala Sitharaman. In fact, they are talking about promoting Anurag Thakur. I don't know whether it's happened. I haven't been watching TV. But this is about the next set of elections.
Let's get Asif Bhamla to respond to that. By the way, we just saw there Bharti Pawar from Maharashtra, Dindori. She just took oath. But, Asif Bhamla, this point that if you are really trying to fix governance and you're trying to fix the stress areas for the government, the economy has been in terrible shape even before the pandemic. Why is Nirmala Sitharaman still there?
Well, about Nirmala Sitharaman, obviously the decision is of the government to have to pick on the faces. There are a lot of them who have continued and a lot of them have been changed. But what I want to say,
do you agree with that? Do you agree that she's staying on there even though the economy has just under her watch been in free fall?
Well, the economy, it's not just India that the economy is troubling. It's a global aspect. We've seen the pandemic, taking the most of all of us, of the entire country, and the economies of so many countries have been doomed. Doesn't mean that we've done. Doesn't mean that we got to forget or forgive. But having said that, I would still compliment the government to have dropped more than a dozen big names. You see. I mean, because it is looking for a new makeover. People who will, if you see, every aspect has been taken into consideration. We've got new faces like Ashwini Vaishnavi, he's from Wharton. So the younger faces we've got from Maharashtra, we've got fabulous representation in the form of Narayan Rane, who's got tremendous experiences as well. Then similarly in Telangana, which is the state which the BJP is certainly eyeing, so that also there has been a cabinet birth that has been given. So certainly even states where there are electoral aspects, of course, as a party, it is going to certainly give birth legitimately to those of them. And I don't think the opposition should have any objection to that. So the government is trying to have create a narrative of a changing image, okay? I mean, in the sense that they were even accommodated relatively unknown people. It's not that, I mean, big stalwarts have been just told to rest.
Okay.
All right, I just want to just tell our viewers, Mr. Bhavla, 1 second, about, who we saw in the swearing in just now.
The government is...
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Yes.
Visheshwar Tudu, first time Lok Sabha MP from Odisha, from Mayurbhanj. He hails from Cuttack. So he is... he's a Lok Sabha MP serving in his first term, and he was sworn in over there. He's 56 years old. I just wanted to go back to Smita Prakash. Smita, a lot of people continue to ask about Ravi Shankar Prasad. Why would the government assess that he was not good enough in what he was doing, either as law minister, IT minister, or telecom? He seemed to sort of generate the government's policy in all these areas, a hardline nationalist position, certainly in telecom. Even on Twitter, you can call it, waging a battle against a global giant for, the sake of nationalism, which is the USP of this government. So what did he do wrong?
I am at sea. I really don't know the actual reason why he got the axe. Yes, you are right in saying that he was waging these battles, but they seem to be the government seemed to be waging these battles with its back to the wall. Now, whether it's because the government had a losing case, or whether the person who was fighting it did not put in his entire effort, that's for the government to decide. But I think a lot was being said that many of these ministers will be going to the Sangathan, will be going to the organizational level, will be helping in the states. But I don't see Mr. Javadekar or Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad going and working in the states which are going to go in for polls, which is in Punjab or in Uttar Pradesh. They are not from those states. Elections are over in Maharashtra, elections are over in Bihar. So I don't know where these two will go. So I really can't say as to why they both got the axe, because they were fronting the government as far as defending it is concerned, whether the INB ministry or whether in the law ministry. So I'm not saying that they shouldn't have been axed, because but what I am saying is that one doesn't really know why this happened.
No, it was quite curious. By the way, we just saw another important face from the West Bengal, Shantanu Thakur, who's an MP from Bongaon, who's also from the all-important Mathua community, very important Dalit community for the BJP in West Bengal. Young leader.
And he's young, 38, right?
Young, that's right. Young leader.
So this is where the average sort of balances out, Vasu, from going well beyond 58 to, with 38, so it comes down a little bit.
That's right. But overall, if we wanted to just look at the big picture now coming up out of this swearing in, as we now start reaching the end of this very long tail of ministers, do you feel, Sushmita Dev, that you may turn around and say that, look, this is all cosmetic and all of that, but given that if the government wanted to signal a reset, that by conducting this massive exercise, they've taken some of the sting out of the opposition's attacks?
Listen, let me make it crystal clear. This massive cabinet reshuffle is nothing to do with governance. It's still going one man when it comes to it. So who the health minister and who the finance minister is doesn't matter. But this is about preparation of the next set of elections. And please don't put so much of energy into where Ravi Shankar Prasad is going to go or no, or that he can go to Karnataka or not. He may well be sent to Gujarat to go and work there. So please, I'm again repeating myself, this is not about accountability. This is about rebooting vis-a-vis electoral politics. That's all it is. It will still be a government in which power will be totally centralized, and governance, there's going to be no change in its quality, I assure you that.
Prasad being removed have to do with electoral politics?
No, I said this reshuffle is not dropping who, to include some people. So do not think that they've dropped Ravi Prasad for this or that. They may well place him somewhere else equally important in the organization. We don't know. So don't look at it like, oh, he's been cut out of the cabinet and punished for something. Okay. Let's wait, Vishnu. It's just the beginning. Let's wait for the next couple of weeks and see where these people who have been dropped are now placed.
All right. Also, just while we were talking, Mr. Munjapura Mahendrabhai from Surendranagar in Gujarat just took an oath as a member of the government, and also coming up next is Mr. John Barla, who's from Alipurdwars in the northern part of West Bengal, tea garden worker. That's his region. But also Vikas Mishra of the LJP is here with us. Vikas Mishra, I believe you are in the Chirag Paswan camp of the LJP, is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely not in the Chirag Paswan camp. When you're talking about Chirag Paswan, you must be talking about LJP camp.
Okay, you're saying you are LJP.
Make yourself perfectly clear.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, that's very clear.
You can certainly take that position at least on a television panel. But
definitely,
is it no? So
whenever you are
was
talking
that
about Chirag Paswan,
okay, all right. Okay, fair enough. Here's the question.
Yeah, thank you.
Did you feel heartburn then when you saw Mr. Pashupatinath Paras coming up and taking oath, even though Chirag Paswan had said, "I will go to court, I will protest"?
I just want to very much clear. Sri Pashupatinath Paras has already been expelled from the Lok Janshakti Party. So nothing remained to say for his anti-party activities. Already he is no more with LJP. Whatever
but he's got the LJP quota. He has got inducted on the LJP quota. Now, where does that leave you?
I'm just very much clearly I'm telling you, he is not a part of LJP. LJP is Chirag Paswan. National president of LJP is only Mr. Chirag Paswan.
But
Mr. Pashupati Paras even not a part of the LJP.
No, but that's convenient for you to say now.
But he is now in the cabinet.
He was one of your foremost leaders. He's coming in as an LJP representative.
Already our national president, Mr. Chirag Paswan, already filed it in the court. We've seen the court everything now. Because whenever you are talking about LJP, Pashupati Kumar Paras is he has been already expelled.
Okay.
He is not there. That is very much clear.
I would be very curious.
Personally,
I would be very curious, Vikas Mishra, if someone is able to actually dislodge a cabinet minister through a court order and then get themselves reappointed. If that happens, by the way, it will be, as far as I could tell, a first. If Chirag Paswan is able to pull that off.
Chirag Paswan has a strong vision for Bihar first and Bihari first. We already very much clear about that. Bihar should be on the top. Bihari should be on the top. What's wrong in that?
Okay, I just want to go across to what's happening now, Dr. L. Murugan. So this is representation from the south. There have been a couple of leaders from Karnataka. This is a leader from Tamil Nadu, from Kongu Nadu, 44 years old. He's a lawyer.
Yes.
And Vishnu, was vice chairperson of the National Commission of Scheduled Castes as well.
That's right, Vishnu. He's the state BJP president.
Yeah.
He's also a leader of the SC Dalit community, and also, as you mentioned, Tamil Nadu. So he's ticking all those different boxes, and is sort of bolstering the southern representation on this cabinet, which has been somewhat weak compared to the other states.
And Vasu, there's just one leader left after him, Nishit Pramanik. He's the Kuch Bihar Lok Sabha MP. He's been a school teacher in primary school.
Right.
And he's from Jalpaiguri in North Bengal.
Okay. So as this marathon wraps up, 1.5 hours swearing in, 43 ministers, huge, almost 80 member cabinet, Asif Bhamla tells me at the end of it, what as an Indian citizen, as a viewer, as a political analyst, what does one take away from it? Can we look at this huge bench strength and go, wow, some amazing new talent has been inducted? And if so, who? Who jumps out at you that you'd say, okay, here are people who can, who suggest
there is
governance, performance, reset, turning things around?
of course, as we are aware that there are nearly 30 new faces that have come across, and people with huge amount of self-estimation have been incorporated into that. Of course, the poll arithmetic has to.
No. But I'm asking you. I'm asking you to give me some names. Asif Bamla, give me 3 names of the new inductees who you think gives you some hope that these guys will be the high performers.
You have a Bhupendra Yadav. I mean, he's an organizational man, and he's a leader of immense credentials. Then you have Virendra Kumar. You have Jyotir Scindia. I mean, these are all the new fresh. It's a fresh breeze of all. Jyotir has also been a minister earlier, so he's an experienced person as well. And he's we got Narayan Rane again. He's also a new face. So it's not that.
Narayan Rane.
It's not relatively unknown people who the government has banked
Asif Bamla, Narayan Rane, your own party made so many allegations against him of land grabbing, money laundering, all kinds of things.
Accusations are things which are and which will keep going on.
All right, so when it comes to a day like today, they don't count whatever you said in the past. Ashutosh, you had a comment to make before we take a short break.
There are a lot of things which were said in
Vishnu,
Mr. Bamla, half a second. Ashutosh wants to come in.
Vishnu, if the Narayan Rane is the poster boy of this cabinet, then I have my comments to be reserved.
You know, there is one interesting face, and I know Vasu discussed it a couple of hours back. Ashwini Vaishnav, and I'm curious to know which sort of portfolio he would sort of fall into. MBA from Wharton, Pennsylvania University, MTech from IIT Kanpur, young at 50 years from Odisha. And it's interesting because Ravi Shankar Prasad had 3 portfolios. The health minister had 2 portfolios. So a lot of these portfolios now emptying up. So a lot of ministers who've now been sworn in, they get an opportunity to get these posts. So, a lot of these have been freed up. I'm just trying to understand who they might be.
Yeah.